You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
I want to talk about news, don't want the drama. From no pretentious media Madonna. I found me a great ganja mama. Cannabis and coffee with Tamarijuana.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cannabis and Coffee with me. It's been a while, hey? I've been on hiatus. I did take a bit of a break before the holiday, and because I really just wasn't feeling it. Things have been kind of, crappy around here, and crappy for patients in Canada, and I just figured that I just needed a break. With all the political, whatever, right? So I took a break, but we're back. We're back to keep educating you on cannabis, and that's what we have to keep doing because there's so many new and upcoming things, and we just want to keep everybody updated. So right at this point, we're still fighting with the Canadian government for medical access, because anything that you buy at your legal store, sure, it's tested, sure, it's got the recommendations and everything on it and the terpenes, and they've done a great job with that. But in reality, is it testing it what it really is? Secondly, a 10 milligram package of candy or edibles isn't 10 milligrams. It's 10 milligrams for the whole package, not for the per candy or per gummy or per caramel. The only way you can actually effectively get what you might need is by buying capsules. And that's where the line kind of falls to the gray, because they're allowing you to have a capsule that is actually 10 milligrams each, and there's 250 of them in a package, or 100 in a package, or however many, right? So you have that option. But again, you've got medical capsules and edibles and all these things and creams and lotions in a recreational market. That kind of flabbergasts me, because I've never known that anything that you topically you'd share as a recreational thing. Like, so you're going to use a topical rub recreationally. To me, that's medical. So we need to, and again, the government does throw that line down there. If you go get a CannaCell or a Servant, so you can sell cannabis, there's a line, and they will very strict line between recreational and medical. Why when you walk into any of these legal stores and you even mention the word, hey, I might need this for such and such, they stand back and go, no, we can't help you, because they're not medically trained. They're not allowed to give medical advice. See, I'm not a medical practitioner myself either, and we don't give medical advice. And anything we always say is, please go talk to your doctor about any of this stuff with interactions with your cannabis and your other medical pharmaceuticals or anything. But again, a lot of the Canadian doctors are not educated on our cannabinoid system or what cannabis actually can be beneficial for you. It's all kind of hit and miss, and other people talking to other people and actually informing each other. So it's a matter of, is it fact or is it opinion? It's life experience. And a lot of people, and I say this often, it doesn't work for everybody, right? It's like any medication that you take. Some people are allergic to cannabis, some people aren't. Some people can use it, some people can't, but people are allergic to antibiotics. My dad was allergic to penicillin. So if you look at it from the medical aspect with the RX label on it, then you have to keep that in mind, that you're dealing with people that have medical need. And again, I'm not saying that it works for everybody. I'm not saying it's a cure-all. I'm not saying that it's going to be something that's going to absolutely help you, but it might. And if you're at the point in your life where your terminal illness has got you to that, you're looking at the MAID program, why don't you try cannabis before you try MAID? And I often say to a lot of cannabis patients that I've spoken to me, they're like, well, what about getting high? Honey, you are terminally ill. I don't think being high should be an issue. And again, if you're eating oil, you are going to get high. The RSO fecal will give you that. It will. I'm not going to lie to you. You are going to feel, some people feel uncomfortable. Some people green out. Now, greening out is, they say overdosing. I say it's too much usage. But the difference between cannabis overdoses or cannabis overusage and anything else is you're not going to die. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel kind of icky. You might have to, sleep it off, but you're not going to die. You can't say that about any other medication that's out there. You cannot take too much of something and not have side effects and sometimes bad repercussions, right? Hello, Bobby Doo. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for everybody that's watching. If you'd like to come up and actually have a conversation, I can bring you onto the show. I just have to connect you through a link, and then you can come up on the panel if you want to come in and discuss or talk about anything. You just got to send me a message through Facebook, because that's what I've got up right now. And then I can send you the link, and then you can come up and talk with me if you like. Again, like I said, there's so many different, hello, Zoe, so many different aspects to cannabis and how it's used. Now, again, I've got several chronic illnesses. I've had colitis since I was 16 years old, and it does help quite a bit with the inflammation on that. Does it stop the chronic diarrhea? No. Does it help with my pain levels? I will say no. It diverts my attention away from the pain so that I'm not constantly concentrating on the pain. Does it mask my pain? No. No, it doesn't. So the reality check is, for me, this is my experience only. I still take methotrexate for my RA because cannabis doesn't block down my overactive immune system. Believe me, I wish it did. Before I had my diagnoses for all these wonderful little critters that I've got now attached to me, I tried everything. I have a friend that ran CanAmed, and Sita sent me any concoction that she could think of to throw into a capsule, to throw into a tea bag, to throw into a bag. We tried it. Topicals, internal, suppositories, okay? Right up the hoop. We tried it all. And unfortunately, it just wasn't effective enough. I wish it had been. I wish that I didn't have to take methotrexate. I wish that the cannabis would have just been enough. So I encourage you to talk to your doctors. Add it as a therapeutic if you can. It helps with nausea. I'm telling you, that is effective. If I'm feeling really kind of nauseated after taking any of my medication, the first thing I do is reach for a doobie. Not going to lie. And it helps. Nausea, headaches, absolutely. I will tell you that it will take my headache away. I will smoke a joint before I take an Advil for a headache. And it's effective. Sometimes, not always. Again, depending on the level of pain you're in. And again, this is me. I'm not saying that it's not effective for you. It possibly could be. I have a friend of mine that was diagnosed with MS many years ago. She's allergic to many pharmaceuticals. She can't take those. At which her body, right? Not everybody's body cooperates with the way pharmaceuticals and people would like them to. Mine doesn't. Mine's exactly the opposite. I take hydromorphine. I'm fucking winging off the fucking ceiling. Not sleeping and drooling like everybody else is, okay? I take cold medicine. If I take a nighttime Tylenol for nighttime, I'm up all fucking night. Totally opposite. Again, why I've had to work through my ADHD medication, because some of them, they're supposed to calm you down, right? Which they do, but sometimes they calm you down to the point that I'm sleeping. Again, having to work with dosage, right? Having to find the right little solution for the problem. I'm trying to think equation. That's not the word I'm looking for. The concoction of things that work for it. Now, right now, I've had a bit of a viral infection for the last couple of weeks. Don't know where I picked it up. Before that, I had my nice little inflammation underneath my nose. And I had to quit taking my methotrexate because it bombs my, thank you, so. It bombs down my immune system because I have an overactive immune system. So it takes my immunity system back, so I can't fight anything. So I quit taking the methotrexate a couple of weeks ago, so I had to try and fight this virus off. I don't know where it came from. All I know is that when I went to the doctor, she said, it's a good thing you got your flu shot, because if you didn't, you wouldn't, yeah. So I'm not out pushing vaccines. I'm just saying my doctor said that, I have a friend that actually I think gave this to me. She wasn't vaccinated and she's in the ICU in Kelowna. On dialysis. She's 33. I'm 56 in February. I was vaccinated. I have the same virus. See how our bodies work, right? So again, you choose to do whatever you want with your body. I chose to be vaccinated, and I'm actually quite grateful at this point that I was. I'm still, like, ears plugged, still coughing, not quite as bad as it was, but we're going on, it'll be 3 weeks Thursday. I've had friends of mine that said they've had it for 6 weeks, and it's viral. So it's not like your doctor's going to be able to give you much for it. I was given Ventolin and Flovent to help with my coughing and my lungs. So there's that. Again, cannabis also is an antibiotic. It's not going to cure your cold or your fucking COVID. No more than ivermectin will. I just said. Try not to be spicy, because I was awfully spicy this morning. And I'm feeling kind of spicy. But, this is a cannabis channel and not politics. So we're going to keep it to just that today. But again, back to, the usage of cannabis and whether it's recreational or medical, right? And I honestly believe that people use it more medically than they actually realize. Because if you're dealing with stress, sleeping, eating, anything like that, and you're using cannabis to help you eat, which is what I use it for too, because I have absolutely no appetite, being anorexic, not by, my own doing, by having colitis, because everything I eat runs out of me in 20 minutes. So you just don't eat. Not kidding. So again, after years of that, because like I said, I was diagnosed in 86 with colitis. I'll be 56. I was 16. So at 16 years old, when you're, dating and going out and stuff and doing things like that, you didn't eat, because that meant the night would be over, right? So I learned how to get by on very little food or none at all. Yeah. And then I had kids and had to eat. So I'm one of those moms that they say, oh, don't tell your kid they have My doctor knew when I had a baby when I was 39 years old, who is now 16 and very smart, very fucking capable of doing whatever, that I had smoked cannabis through my pregnancy with him. Why? So I could keep food in my fucking body, not be puking up everything, and actually sleep. My boy was born 5.5 weeks early, but so was my daughter in 92 when I didn't smoke fucking anything. So, you know how they want to do studies on women that have had babies? I got a 16-year-old up there that they could fucking study. They could. His brain's not smaller than anybody else's, I'll tell you that much. He's smarter than most adults. So, just saying, there are different aspects for everything, and we are all individuals, and we are all going to be affected by any medication, whether it's cannabis, antibiotics, painkillers, whatever it is. You're going to have a different effect than your neighbor. Just saying. I have friends that have taken gabapentin that has made them fucking nutty. I take gabapentin when I need it, and it doesn't make me nutty. I've had friends that take Prozac that have actually lost their fucking minds because of overuse of, not Prozac, not Prozac. It's right there. It's a steroid. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do. My brain just went blank. Not Prozac. It's Jesus. Why can't I think of that? I was on the fucking shit. Anyways, it's a steroid for an anti-inflammatory that if you take too much of it can make you kind of crazy too. But again, different drugs have different effects on everybody, right? I mean, I gave the big dog, some gabapentin because the vet had recommended it. You know what happened? I got bit. The dog went fucking off his nut with 300 milligrams of gabapentin. That was prescribed by a vet. And there's the remnants. And he's a 180-pound pit bull. Yeah, he's not living here anymore. He went back to my daughter's place because I'm 80 pounds. I can't control that. It broke my fucking heart. But we also realized that it was because of the medication that made him kind of go off his nut, or he probably would have never reacted to that. And we also relayed that back to the vet, that this dog cannot take gabapentin. And vets will prescribe gabapentin on small doses for pain for dogs. Again, if it does that to a dog, what's it doing to the chemical brain of of us, right? So I do take pharmaceuticals very sparingly. Like I said, I take my methotrexate because I have to, or I'll be ahead in the bed. I have hydromorphine that I take very rarely. I take gabapentin as needed, only when I need it. I take my folic acid every day because my body doesn't produce folic acids because of the methotrexate, and my squirrel bug medicine so that I'm not winging all over the place. Because at 52, when you get a diagnosis for ADHD, it's an eye opener. It explains to you why you were such a binger your whole life. Does it change the past? No. Does it give you any insight to why you were the way you were? It does. Does it fix everything? No. Am I still a fucking crazy squirrel even taking medication? Yep, I am. It helps me focus. It helps me keep on track. But has it changed who I am? No, I'm still a fucking nutbag crazy squirrel. And I'm okay with that. I've lived like this my whole life. But again, the mask, it doesn't come off because you start taking medication. I wish it did. I wish I could just learn not to mask, to try to unlearn some of the stuff that I had to learn to keep myself not looking like a crazy fucking nutbag. You don't unlearn that stuff. It just kind of stays with you. Unfortunately, and that's just the way it kind of goes. And, having a late diagnosis was kind of squirrely. And I knew something was up, and it was kind of funny because how it all kind of rolled out is menopause too, right? Or hormones. And I had went to transplant 2 of my pot plants that I was growing. And I left the buckets out by the veranda door, and I was just going to go outside because the big bag of soil was outside and come back in and transplant those plants. At 5:00 that night, those plant pots were still sitting by the door. I had done 16 other fucking million things and still hadn't transplanted my fucking pot. Sat down on my chair and went, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, seriously, like, what is wrong with you? Trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with his brain. So I went to my doctor and I said, I think I'm fucking crazy. And explained to her what was going on in the laundry and all this stuff. And I've always feeling like I'm on a hamster wheel. She goes, I can't diagnose this. I'm just a GP. But this is what you're going to do. I asked her to refer me to a psychiatrist. And she said, I can do that. It's going to cost you a lot of money. This is what you're going to do. So I went through BC Mental Health. Everything was free. I did trauma therapy for 15 weeks. I seen a psychologist. I seen a psychiatrist. I got a diagnosis. I got medicated. Did it take that long? Not really. I mean, I know some medical waits out there are long. I was in and out of there and done with a diagnosis within 6 months. I had to wait 2 weeks for them to call me to make an appointment. So again, I don't know what the wait lists are like right now. This was back, 4 years ago, right? But it was BC Mental Health, and it was all free. Even the EMDR treatment for my trauma, free through BC Mental Health. So again, there are agencies within our province, Alberta, who knows over there right now because everything's falling apart with their healthcare privatization, right? And again, like when it comes to mental health, I think that we need more of it. I also find cannabis quite effective to help me with my anxiety, with the squirrel feeling, because it'll slow me down a bit, right? But it wasn't effective enough not to keep me off pharmaceuticals for myself. Again, this is me. What works for you could be totally different, right? So again, cannabis is a therapeutic added medication that you can add to or use by itself if it works directly for you. Again, there's no right and wrong in this answer. There's no right or wrong answer, especially when it comes to cannabis, because it works for some, not for all, but it's very easily to change and mix and match your different strains and stuff to find something that can work for you. I make a lot of edibles, but I don't eat a lot of edibles. I find that it slows me down a little bit too much and puts me to sleep. So if I want to sleep, I'll eat one of my gummies. Absolutely will. But again, if I don't want to sleep and I want to be functioning, I'm smoking, which reminds me, I need to smoke one. Usually I start the show with one, but I'm running a bit low this morning. I haven't made it out to the store, so I was going to save this for the break. But we got another 10 minutes till we go to the first commercial break, so I'm not going to be able to wait that long. And again, if you're using the legal market, I use both. Unfortunately, our store out on the sovereign nation is under renovation right now, but they do deliver, and or we have the legal market now. I use the legal market mainly because it's not a drive and the roads are bad. If it's not, then I will go out to the sovereign land and go out there and support them, because I believe that it helps them become more self-sustainable too. It's creating jobs on the sovereign nations. It's bringing medicine back to where it should be, to the nations, to our natural form, right? And cannabis is not natural to Canada. We all know that. It's not something that grew freely here before probably the spice trades. And I'm believing that it probably got brought over here prior to, the first whatever they think they fucking did. Like I said, history's changed itself so many times since I fucking was a kid. I can't even pinpoint. But we do know there was spice and trade done between the Middle East, China, and the North Americas, long before there was any written text about it. They just found a First Nations village that's over 11,000 years old. It was introduced before the pyramids. Or they're finding it was there or existed, longer than the pyramids. So history is kind of hard to track sometimes. And we've been whitewashed and propagandized and lied to for so fucking long. Do we really know when cannabis arrived in Canada? No. But I just do know that it's a tropical, warm growing plant that was probably brought here in the 1500s. Now, they used cannabis as medicine prior to 1920. They used to use cocaine as medicine too prior to 1920, which was prohibition. Kind of like alcohol too, they prohibited, right? Again, the cannabis industry didn't start in Canada as an industry. It was never intended to be an industry, a money-making fucking industry. It was intended to protect public health and safety. The same reason why alcohol was legalized, because people were making it in their fucking bathtubs and people were dying and going blind. Now, I can't say the same thing about cannabis because cannabis has never killed anybody in the history of the world. But with other drugs that we're having in the systems and the markets now, and all this screaming about fentanyl, all drugs need to be legalized and regulated, because I keep telling people aren't going to quit doing drugs. You are never going to fix the addiction problem. It's a disease. And another thing they're not going to want to fix it is because now it's become a huge industry. So addiction has now become an industry, a privatized industry. They don't want to fucking fix everybody. The reason why they won't legalize fucking hard drugs is because the other industry is bringing them more fucking money. Right? Treatment, detox, fall down, detox, treatment, fall down. They set them up for failure. It's a 3-tier system, and they get paid $10,000 fucking dollars a day to put these bodies through that fucking system. Guess who's paying for it? If you're a fucking AISH recipient, your Canadian tax dollars are paying for this. And it's a private system. If you've got private insurance, your private insurance company's paying these fucks. But there are recovery houses in fucking the lower mainland that are privatized that aren't even fucking regulated. And they're bringing people out. They're setting them up for failure. As soon as that person's got 30 days cleaning, all of a sudden there's a fucking drug party at that recovery house and everybody's falling down. They're all back in detox. So that fucking recovery private center can charge you or your government or your insurance company another $10,000 fucking dollars to put them back in detox, to put them through the same fucking system again. That's what Danielle Smith is hoping for in Alberta. She's hoping for the system to fucking fail so that they can make fucking money. Her friends can make money. Not even the Alberta government. Her friends that she is giving the fucking keys to the fucking privatized healthcare doors. Did you know that? So now they've made treatment an industry because they already made crime an industry. Private jails, incarceration, private, even though you think it's not. Government pays the civil servants that work there, but the building itself, they sold. It's owned by somebody else. They're paying fucking rent on it now. LCC, Lethbridge Correctional Institute. Check it out. And legalizing drugs would then take away all their friends' industry for detox and rehab. Now, this is going on not just in Canada, it's going on in the States too. In fact, there's a great show on At-Eze called Trafficking. And this is human trafficking. When you hear all these people saying they're seeing all kinds of white buses dropping homeless people off in your town, I thought that was a myth. I thought maybe that was just a bunch of shit. They are. They're picking people up off the streets, taking them into detox, taking them into treatment, and then having them fail, and then going back and picking more up. They're doing it in California, they're doing it in fucking Nevada, and they're doing it in fucking BC. I know this for a fact because I'm not saying there's white buses, but I know there's a treatment center out here. And they pick people up from other fucking parts of the province, bring them out here, have them fail, and then they're released onto the streets here. And they're not from here. Now, once you've done recovery and you're actually clean, it's not a good idea to ever go back to the scene of the crime anyway. You never want to put an addict back where they have access to the same people, the same fucking drugs, the same fucking lifestyle. You want to try and give them a fresh start, but you also want to make sure they've got housing when they get out and maybe some support and maybe some work. They're not. They're dropping the fucking ball. They're just letting them all loose back to the shelter where they're exactly going to be around the same lifestyle, the same people, and the same drugs. Make it fucking make sense. So somewhere along the way, and this isn't a government problem, okay? This is a you problem. This is you allowing fucking conservatives to cut back fucking resources so that our public systems can fucking work. So the only way they can get through this is they break down the systems that are already there. And that's what they're doing. Exactly what the fucking orange potato is doing in the States. Breaking down the system so that they fucking aren't working properly so he can fucking fix them. No, so they can dismantle them. And they're bringing you Kool-Aid drinkers along with them. They really are. Addiction is a disease, no matter how you slice it. Alcohol, drugs, sex, food, sugar, caffeine. All of these things in life that we have in front of us. Tobacco, cannabis. And you're going to let the government tell us which ones we're allowed to have and which ones we're not, right? But you don't want a dictatorship, but you all expect the government to do something about this homeless and addiction problem. What? So they've handed it to the private sector to fix this problem, but it's still the government's fault. You have to get to the root of the problem to begin with. Poverty, inequality, no equity for people. Nobody in this country is on an equal footing, not because of basically religion or culture, because of poverty, because of your economic status. This isn't about right, left. This is about up and down. This is about people that are rich and then people that are poor and the dignity that goes with it, right? So when you've got poverty being seen as a pariah on society, and anybody that's disabled or anybody that's pulling from a system that's needed, because we're supposed to take care of our most vulnerable, right? All of a sudden they're not qualified for any dignity. You don't qualify for dignity if you're disabled. You're supposed to eat poverty level fucking pittance. Or they put a fucking threshold on it so that you're married, your spouse makes over a certain limit, so you're just fucking financially abused. You don't get anything at all. You just don't exist because your spouse makes over the threshold and you don't exist because you're supposed to be a child and being taken care of by your spouse. What? So the disability, another thing that they're trying to break down, make it fucking broken and make it appear to be broken so they don't have to fucking deal with it anymore. Pass it off to the privatized system. Don't regulate it. Let them do whatever the fuck they want with it. And the people that pay for it get fucked. And that's what's happening. If you're in a conservative province. I thankfully am not. And I'm not a big NDP fan at all. I'm not a socialist, and I'm a centrist. But I'm really grateful to have doctors, and I'm really grateful to have fucking the care that we've got here in this province. Am I able to collect disability in this province? No. So I'm still financially being abused by this government because the threshold for PWD is $45,000 a year. So in order for me to be able to get a lousy $1,700 a year, my husband has to make less than $45,000 a year for me to get $1,700 a month. That wouldn't even touch our bills. In fact, this accident, actually, I'm going to take a quick break here and thank our sponsors, and do a quick commercial here. And then I'll come back and talk to you about poverty and cannabis and how it goes hand in hand. We'll be right back after a quick break from our sponsors. And I got to find them right.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
All right, we are back after a quick break. I want to thank our sponsors, Limestone Hydroponics. I love you guys. I follow you on TikTok too and try and share most of your stuff. And I wish I was in Kingston because I'd be shopping at your store. It's a little far for you to ship though. Well, maybe not. Again, we were talking a little bit about addiction and legalization of all drugs. And, you know, cannabis was a hard one to get across. First of all, we had to do a lot of fucking fidangling with a lot of politicians. We had to go to a convention in 2014 and write a policy with the Young Liberals to put on the floor to have the delegates actually vote on, to actually get it across the floor so we could actually make it an election policy within the Liberal Party and make it an election ballot issue. And when everybody voted in Justin Trudeau, that mandate was then set in stone. And they had a certain amount of time to get it in. So to be clear too, any medical program that we had received from the government was also a court battle. Okay, we have been to court since 1998 as patients, starting with the At-Eze case back in 1998. There was a prior court case with Ansans, I believe, prior to that. I don't have a, but it was just, they were busted and they had cancer. And that's kind of what rolled us into the At-Eze course. And that was Alison Murden. Alison is still around. She's still with the Marijuana Mission, and she's actually fighting for your rights to have a psilocybin be legalized too as a medicine. Paul Lewin is her lawyer, and they're working hard with, to fight in the courts. Because again, we have not received anything medically for cannabis from the Canadian government unless we fought for it in court. These are all court orders. The Cannabis Medical Program is a court order ordered by the Supreme Court of Canada. It forced Health Canada to devise a program. And then in 2013, the Conservative government decided that cannabis patients weren't going to be able to grow their medicine anymore. They were going to start these great big licensed producers and supply us all with our own medicine, and basically came up with legislation and told us that we had to shut our gardens down, that we weren't able to produce our plants anymore. that they were no longer going to give us the MMAR program that we had, which we had to fill out 35 papers worth of paperwork to get. And send pictures of ourselves. They were supposed to get cards for that we never got because the lamination machine was broken. Not shitting you. So I first got my first MMAR in 2012. So 2013, Stephen Harper and his fucking goon of fucking losers decided that they were going to fucking shut us all down, that patients didn't have their rights anymore. And what did we do? Jason Wilcox loaded his little fucking fingers on the keyboard and jumped on a plane, and we started going coast to coast, coast to coast to coast, gathering money, gathering support, gathering representation, and we fought again in a BC Supreme Court, and we won. And that's why we now went from the MMAR to the MMPRs, where you had to get a legal licensing from a doctor, which there was all kinds of clinics that popped up then. They would give you free licensing because they were getting kickbacks from the LPs, because then you had to buy from the LP. And that's how they still got cannabis patients fucking over the barrel. We'll get into that. So we fought. So it went from MMAR to MMPR, which I held one. And my provider was Broken Coast, and you had to wait in the mail, and it was $10 a gram, blah, blah, blah. And then we won the court injunction, and they had to come up with another program, which is now the ACMPR. So then when you win a court ruling, the government is given 90 days to come up with it, and they didn't follow through with the two rulings that they had in front of them, which was the Smith ruling over the edibles and baking, and then the Allard ruling, which was the growing. So we had Allard first, and then we had the Smith ruling. The Smith ruling went all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada. That's why you people now can make canna butter and make shatter and oil and mail it. I did 6 months house arrest because I mailed 4 grams of cannabis in the mail. Now you can mail out 30 legally. You're fucking welcome. Oh, and Smith also did time. They cost him in debt a lot of bucks. But John Conroy and Kurt Tusaw won that case in the Supreme Court of Canada. So now we can have edibles. Now because before that, you make a cake, you legally weren't allowed to make canna butter. It was an extraction. Oil, we weren't legally allowed to make that. You still can't make it with butane or iso. You're not supposed to use those solvents to make it. You're supposed to use olive oil and coconut oils to make tinctures. You can't smoke tinctures, fuckers. You can't. So there's all kinds of things that went on behind the scenes that a lot of Canadians don't understand, realize, or even acknowledge. Even the new ones up and coming. And me and Al will often say, oh, there's always the wave of the new and the old. But the new ones don't recognize what came before them. And that's one thing when I started this in 2006, I knew that there had people that had fought hard before me. I knew and acknowledged the hard work and court battles that had gone on before me. The fact that people had done jail time before me. The fact that I wasn't anybody special in my community because we were all fighting for the same thing. And we just had to keep that wave riding. So I started Southern Alberta Cannabis Club in 2006. It's 2026. So in June of this year, I've been doing this 20. Holy fuck. 20 years of fighting, and we're still not done yet. So when you think that the government exists and the government's that, you're blaming the fucking government. I would be the person that should be blaming the fucking government. Instead, I went and sat with them. Instead, I sat myself at the table. I went and sat in MPs' offices, and I became very involved with the Liberal Party. And I was at that convention in 2014 helping write those policies in Montreal. I was campaigning for Justin Trudeau to get him elected and over that line so we could get legal cannabis. So there's a few things I've done in the past that I'm pretty proud of. And I hope that going forward, we can keep fighting hard for these people that use cannabis as medicine because they're still not getting the recognition because it all was rolled into the Cannabis Act. And I was at those fucking round tables too when they were building the Cannabis Act. And I stood up and said, until Health Canada recognizes cannabis as medicine, we're going to keep going around and around in fucking circles. And they still haven't recognized cannabis as medicine. You go to Health Canada, there's still warning labels. If you buy from the legal market, they've got warning labels. Like they do on alcohol now too, because it is a carcinogenic, and I understand the aspect of, not putting anything into your lungs. But the stigma. But hey, the stigma on poverty, the stigma on everything, the stigma and the judgment that we've done, what COVID, I think, did, this whole pandemic did to a lot of people. And I know it's history repeating itself. But I don't want us to be 1926 instead of 2026. I don't want us going back to even this forced treatment that they're doing with addiction in Alberta. They're just setting people up for failure. And again, like I said, it's an industry, right? It's human trafficking on all levels. You're picking up somebody who's vulnerable off the street. You're offering them a bed, but they wake up the next day, they got on that plane and they're in a different fucking state or a different province without consent, with no ID and no health care. Because once you leave a state or a province, your health care is null and void. You have 3 months, right? But in reality, you're not in the same province where your health care card's from. There's a lot of things in this world that are what the fuck right now, right? Another reason why I smoke cannabis. Because the world is what the fuck. And I think that we, like I've said this before, the cannabis community was a great community. Since legalization, we've kind of scattered because we don't, and I mean, it was like herding cats to begin with, to be fair, but we don't have any focus and we don't have any main goal. We fought the government hard enough, long enough in courts and, through legislation and everything else to get us to where we are. But it's not far enough, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to drugs and addiction. I think that cannabis is a harm reduction. I think it should be offered as a gateway out. I know a lot of people that the statistics actually show that people have been drinking less alcohol due to the cannabis legalization in Canada. Which I've always said, even to my kids, I'd rather see you smoke cannabis than drink any day of the week. I prefer you don't do anything, right? Like, let's be fair. My mom didn't want me smoking weed no more than I want my kids smoking weed, right? Even though I use it for medicine, I know it's, fairly harmless and stuff. I don't want them smoking cigarettes either. It's harmful to their health, right? And I smoked cigarettes for years. I still vape nicotine. I'm trying to wean myself off that, but I haven't smoked a cigarette in a year. So again, in a perfect world, your children wouldn't need anything. We wouldn't have needed anything. We wouldn't have smoked. We wouldn't have drank. We wouldn't have done drugs, right? This isn't a perfect fucking world. So this euphoria or utopia of them thinking that they're going to shut down that country from shipping cocaine into the States and shut down that one from fentanyl. People are still going to do fucking drugs. It's no more than you're going to take prostitution away, And if you can't fucking change it, then make it safe. That's all I think that any of us should really, because it's really none of my business if you do drugs. See, I'm one of these live and let livers. Like, if it doesn't hurt me and it's not hurting you and you're a functioning addict, how about her, dude? Statistics are actually showing that more people die of an overdose that are actually functioning, working people in their homes alone than people using on the streets. That's a fact. That's a stat. Google it. I'm not going to bring receipts to my own show. You can figure that out. Google's free. But again, same with cannabis. They lied and manipulated the narrative about cannabis being harmful for decades. And now we're telling you it's not harmful, but we've been telling you for 25, 30, 50, 60, 80 years. And it took you up until 10 years ago to fucking finally listen to us. So I'm hoping that it's not going to take another 20 fucking years and another fucking million people dying of drug overdoses so they finally get it that they need to legalize and regulate everything. Whether you like it or not, manufacture it here. You want to fucking create jobs? Open a meth lab. I'm sure you'll have all kinds of people that are fucking qualified. You want to grow coca leaves? I know some friends that can help you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know nobody wants to hear that. I know nobody wants to hear about it. But we produce vaccines here. We make pharmaceuticals here. If you want a chemical conjunction, we've got labs that can do it. So then why aren't we? Why are we allowing dealers to get rich? Why are we allowing people to die on the streets? Why are we letting this happen? It just doesn't seem like it's that difficult to me. You know, we got a couple scientists in Canada that can make meth. Like I said, I'm sure if you put, you know, an ad out for meth makers, you'd have a few. Just go to your local fucking federal prison. I'm sure you already have them. Give them a job. Make them do something for, you know, give them a job. I mean, does that sound ridiculous? Maybe it does. But I'm just saying, like, there are ways of building industries, right? You want to make Canada strong, regulate drugs, regulate it all. End poverty. Give us all a universal income benefit. Help medical patients have their fucking medicine for free, and include cannabis under the Pharmacare Act. If you can pay for the veterans cannabis, and I know you do, I have friends that get their money from the government reimbursed back to them for their medical cannabis. Do it for all of them. Do it for every medical patient in Canada. Put cannabis on the Pharmacare Act, in the Pharmacare Act. Maybe that'll be the goal. Maybe a light bulb just went off in my head. But I think that's a good idea. I think that we should push that cannabis is added to the Pharmacare Act so that everybody that uses cannabis for medicine can have it paid for. I know some insurance companies do. You have to buy it from the licensed producers. That's the thing. And I mean, you can't be from the store either. You have to actually order it online through the producer, and then they will send you a receipt, and then your insurance company, I believe, reimburses you. I know if you have receipts from a licensed producer and a medical licensing, right? You have to have your medical licensing too. Like, you can't just say, well, I'm using it for sleep and write it off on your taxes. They want you to be licensed. They want you to have that proof. And the thing is that's happened too is since legalization, the medical cannabis patients list has dropped from 50,000 people back down to 10. To be fair, there were a lot of infiltration. There was a lot of people lied to get their licensing. I'm not going to say there's no fraud in the system, because we all know not everybody's good and honest, right? And it doesn't matter what system that we've got. There's always going to be a few bad apples, unfortunately. But now that they can access cannabis, and that's one thing that we asked for was dignified access. We wanted people to have dignified access, to have access to be able to go and not have to wait and grow and you just or deal with some seedy guy in the alley. You know what I mean? That was a goal too. But in hindsight, what it's done is pigeonholed everybody, right? And made it so that their access is only like covered by a certain percentage, where everybody should be covered. Like I said, it shouldn't be just if you have Sun Life or you've got, you know, every insurance company. But again, if you're low income and don't have any extended benefits and have to use the Canada Pharmacare Act, it should be covered by that. Fuck the insurance companies. Fuck that's where I'm at with this. Like, we have a Pharmacare Act that was put in and legislated through, and only certain pharmaceuticals are on it as it is. But I think cannabis should be on it. So I think that's going to be the new project, folks. I think we need to push the government to add cannabis to the Pharmacare Act. Just a thought. If you're bored. Like, I'm not. My brain's going 100 miles a minute. My phone's going off like crazy because I'm also running a fundraiser. So since we only have a few minutes left, I'm going to take this off topic for a minute and off cannabis for a minute and talk about something that kind of started my day off with a shitty fucking tone to it yesterday. I woke up to, I don't know, most of you would know, I'm a stakeholder with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure in British Columbia. I started protesting and barking about our road maintenance company 10 years ago. Protested in front of the MLA's office and then got meetings with the MLA and the Ministry of Transportation. So they ended up giving me a stakeholders package. So I run 2 road pages on Facebook as well as do all this. So I'm a stakeholder with the Ministry of Transportation. So I woke up yesterday morning to a really shitty post on my page saying that we were the ones in that car accident yesterday at Swansea. We are grateful to be alive. And it just hit me. So I reached out to this young lady and asked her if I could get her email address and have permission to take, or she could send me a couple pictures that I could post and start a fundraiser for them. She did. And several of you know that my daughter is a drug addict. I'm gonna cry. Anyway, when I saw that little girl on that gurney, my daughter was hit in the head with a rock in 96. And it's affected her brain to the point that she had a bleed on the brain too, and left side of her behavioral. Started doing drugs. She was like, even with after getting her to the hospital at 4, we had to switch her from Tylenol to like Pez tablets because she was like so adamant that she needed those Tylenol to take away her headache. Right. So addictive personality from the age of pretty much 4, because she was given heavy duty pharmaceutical painkillers at 4 for this head injury. Anyway, moving forward, that kid has been addicted to drugs her whole life. She's 33 years old and she's a drug addict. And I've had to accept that. That's the disease and because of the head injury. Anyway, seeing that little girl kind of took me back. So I started raising money yesterday. And then the girl that I work for at the garden center, Top Crop Garden Center here, Shannon, got a hold of me and asked me some questions. And then she took off and started a fundraiser at the store, basically coming forward with $1,000 donation and basically challenging every other business in the area to donate more than they did, that much or more. This morning I woke up, there's $5,000 at the store, there's $7,700 on Stephanie Ann's GoFundMe, and people have been e-transferring, Mindy, and I'm not sure how much cash they've got in that bank account. I don't know these people. I've never met these people. But I raised that yesterday, and yeah, that's the shit that community does, right? You gather together, you fucking come together, and you help. So that's why my phone's going off. And it's been kind of crazy for the last couple of days, but the cannabis community used to be like that. Any one of us were in need, anybody needed this, that, and that's how I got myself in trouble. Because another patient needed some medicine across the country, and I was oblivious to the fact that I couldn't mail it. And I got caught because somebody was in need. So this year, we're starting out with kindness and we're starting out with a bang. And that's why I'm back on Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarijuana, because moving forward in 2026, we want to bring some good changes and make some good trouble. And I think putting cannabis on the Pharmacare Act is going to be a project, as well as several other things. Anyways, I think that should just about wrap me up. I have shout outs again to all our sponsors who are great that, keep us, going on this network. We've been doing this now. Oh my God. So it's 20 years of cannabis. I don't even know where I'm sitting as far as doing shows. I think it's 10 years. Maybe I'd have to check with Al. Because I don't know, I've lost years with COVID and stuff, and I've taken hiatuses and, been off the air for a while, but I've been doing this a long time too. So I really appreciate everybody that joins in, that follows, that, subscribes to our channels, that sponsors us, that stands with us, and all my friends over the years. Because like I said, Happy New Year. This is 2026, and this is going into my 20th year of cannabis activism. And it just reminds me of how fucking old I really am. And yeah, my hair's gotten a lot grayer. I had dark hair when I started this 10 years or 20 years ago. My hair was black. And now it's gray. And now it's gotten a little grayer too. So again, I'll be live with Al again on Wednesday night on Pace Radio for the Pace Radio show, which is people advocating cannabis education. And Al's been doing that for almost 20 years himself. He's had several other co-hosts, so I just got lucky enough to be the last one that he's had for the last couple of years. And that's because the other one was just kind of, and she quit. I won by default. Just saying. Anyways, it's been a great, last year sucked. Not gonna lie. But 2026 is starting off on a better foot. Like I said, I turned a shitty situation yesterday into a community event, my fundraiser. From a car accident to 3 people in 3 different hospitals, 1 here, 2 in Vancouver, a mom flying in from fucking Edmonton, a basement suite set up, and $10,000 raised in 24 hours. That feels pretty good. That's a good way to start 2026, right? I think so. Anyways, folks, I got 5 minutes left. I don't even know what I'm going to babble about for 5 minutes. Maybe I'm just going to end the show a little early because I don't want to bore anybody any longer. I'm going to try and get actually Cheryl Rose on next week. There's some updates on her and Haley, and I believe she's got some news to tell us and update us on. So I'm going to reach out to her this week. I also have my other friend, Melissa, who's fighting with WCB on TikTok. She's Saltier Mutter as well. She did a live last night. Something's ticking down her way, so maybe I will try and bring her back on. She's been a medical cannabis patient fighting with WCB and the insurance companies for patients' rights for over a decade herself. Allison Murden, somebody I'd like to get up on this show and talk about what's going on with her and the psilocybin. But she was not feeling so well. I know that they throughout her court case, all charges were dropped against her prior to Christmas time, so that was good news. But these are the things and these are the people that I'd like to see coming up on the new year. So we'll see you next week, same time, same place, and I will see you all again Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on People Advocating Cannabis Education. Y'all have a great rest of your day, folks, and I'll see you then. If this thing will turn off. Oh, it's going to let me.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.